Hello everyone. Welcome to our latest edition of Product Prism podcast powered by Product Leaders Guild, a community of product leaders. Myself, Rajeshwar Rao, an investment banker with vast knowledge in equity research and investment banking. And today we have an amazing line of speakers on our panel who are going to talk about building products from scratch. All the speakers have more than 2 decades of experience in bringing ideas to life. So now I welcome Mr. Mukund. Mukund joining us today is a medtech engineer with 24 years of experience in designing and developing medical devices with strong background in embedded systems and systems engineering. He is now transitioning into product leadership, driving innovation to enhance patient outcomes. Get ready to hear his insights on blending technical excellence with business strategy.
Hello everyone, good evening.
And next comes Mr. Sunil, a seasoned product leader with over 21 years of experience in enterprise security. He has built and launched multi-billion-dollar products at Cisco as product manager and currently leading AI-powered security strategy at IBM for Z Systems. Sunil's expertise spans across product management, go-to-market strategy, and customer engagement. His insights are sure to inspire. Welcome, Sunil.
Thanks, Rajesh. Thanks for hosting us over here and giving this platform to share our thoughts.
No problem. And the last speaker is Mr. Shashank, a product management expert with more than 20 years of experience in aerospace domain. He's currently driving large-scale projects at Tech Mahindra. His specializations in portfolio management, risk mitigation, and delivering first-time right solutions. So welcome, Shashank.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for giving the opportunity to talk on product management.
Thank you, Shashank. Pleasure is all ours. And I thank you, each of you, to be at this platform and give your insight, ideas, and experiences. So without having any ado, let's go to the first question. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Sunil, the first question comes to you. So what do you think? What's the first step that comes to your mind when you have been handed a blank slate for a new product from your stakeholders or from your when you find a problem in the market? So where do you start and what is your first thinking?
So whenever a new problem is given to us, usually we always start with a problem. We are customer centric and we should always be customer centric and we should be trying to solve problems. The first question that we try to ask is like, whom are we trying to solve this problem for? And what exactly is the problem or the pain that they have? And what are those unmet needs that currently cannot? And is this solution that we are trying to is it unavoidable and is it worth solving it is what we try to first evaluate even before we jump into the solution.
Nice.
Mukund, would you like to add something around this?
Yeah, so once you have discovered that the problem is worth solving, from engineering standpoint, what I have seen comes is the viability or the feasibility. So how feasible it is with the current technologies to solve this problem. That's where the engineering mind comes in. Do we invest in new technologies or is the current technology good enough to cater to the solutions that the customer is looking for? So these are some of the aspects which eventually translate into something like, like an MVP, which we can take it to the customer and validate the assumptions that we have made about the product. So yeah, from the engineering standpoint, for me, what comes is the feasibility, which the entire engineering team will be focused on doing the technical risk retirement and trying to see what the product or this offering that the customer is looking for eventually, is the initial blueprint, what it is going to, form. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, it's definitely engineering perspective.
Yeah,
Yes, Shashank. Sorry, go on.
yeah. It's like what's my understanding is understanding the problem statement from the customer. Before that, we will go for customer engagement and do the research for what's exactly the problem and what we are addressing. So that means conducting market research, identifying the pain points, and just like talking to the potential users. Actually, the great product starts with a deep understanding of what problem is solved and for whom.
And I think most of the times there is a question like, how many customers do we need to talk to? So a simple thumb rule over there is talk to as many customers as possible. And when is it ideal to stop? when you see a recursive pattern, like the same pattern is coming out from most of these customer. And that's when you could actually, as Mukund mentioned, correct, validation of this problem statement actually happens over there. So that's when we try to invest further, even to build a MVP. And we also look at, while we are doing this, we also try to look at what is the addressable market over here. Like, how big is this problem? Like, because every company or any enterprises that we are investing in, they are very much focused on what would be the ROI for this. Like, how big is this problem and what is the willingness of the customers to pay for this? Sometimes there are many problems or many products out there which customers may like it, but they would not be willing to pay for it. Even before you invest into it, as a product manager or as a product leader, we should ensure that this is actually, as Mukund mentioned, it's a viable product. Feasibility needs to be checked, and the viability will also need to be checked. Whether customers are really willing to pay for this, and if they are willing to pay, how big is this, and how much can we scale with this? What is the revenue, and are we correct? Are we timed the market correctly?
So coming to customers, I think willing to pay is the big word because that is where our MVP stands, and it is the proof of concept for us that our idea is actually helping the customer. I mean, useful for them, and they are willing to pay for that. So since we are talking about MVP, MVP is a minimum viable product. So how do you conceptualize this MVP? Is there any standard procedure or just like how do you take the feedbacks from customers? And I think customer feedback is the great thing which we every product manager needs to follow up. So what are your views?
So this again translates to our targeted customers. So first we need to define a minimum viable segment. Like when I say a minimal viable segment, it is something like the same needs for same users, which can be addressed with the same product repeatedly. So this is what we would first define our minimum viable segment for this MVP. So this would give us more focus around what we are trying to develop and what pain point are we trying to solve, and this would help us validate our assumptions whatever we have already made while building the product, correct?
Yeah, if I talk about the MVP, the concept itself is relevant actually, but nowadays it has been diluted. Many companies are making mistake like having a half-baked product and going to the market. That results to the failure of the product. So it should be like a smallest testable version of the idea that provides a real value. About learning fast, not launching the incomplete product. This is my understanding from MVP.
Yes, so from technology standpoint, MVP is a very good opportunity to test the riskiest assumptions about technology that we make. So there are a lot of, it may be a minimum viable, but it is a maximum learning for the product leaders, right? Even for the technologist, it gives me opportunity to decide whether should I invest in new technology or this is where the rubber meets the road, right? So I will come to know whether yes, whatever I thought of, is it really going to pay off? Okay, so for me, MVP is that validation of my technology that I believed is going to help deliver value to the customer. So from the product manager perspective, they are looking at the use cases, but from an engineering perspective, I am looking at the application of the technology, whether it is good enough to solve the problem or not.
Regarding the customer feedback, Raj, like, actually the customer feedback, we should have the balanced way of handling. Like we should not go only with the customer feedback. Actually, we should have the intuitions to innovate, like break through the innovation. If Apple has relied only on the feedback, would have never would have better Blackberries instead of iPhones.
So the disruption actually would not happen.
Exactly.
So sometimes this is very true. Second with Shashank, some of these problem statements as a product leaders, it is our responsibility to identify them even before customer faces them. So that is when you would get, as an enterprise or as a startup, you would get an edge over the rest of the world only when you are capable of identifying a problem even before it becomes very obvious for the customers. So if you are waiting for the customer to tell you a problem, that's too late. But if you are able to articulate and anticipate what problems are going to come with the ongoing technology where the market is heading towards, with the innovations that are going, that's what would create disruptive products. And that would create a moat for you, and it would give you a lead where others would be followers.
So yeah, I agree with you on developing. I mean, MVP and customer feedback should go on side by side, so that we will get the maximum utility of the product for and help the customer to solve his problem 100%. So for this, I think there are various stages of customer feedback, which all product managers will take it up. So as Shashank mentioned, it is a iterative process. I assume we have to ensure every stage we have to take the customer feedback and involve it in our product development. And since we are talking about technology and innovation, so Mukund, how do you explain the innovation is crucial to product development and how technology is helping in current days?
So technology definitely is one of the key levers when it comes to creating a differentiation in the mindset of the customers. So technology is an enabler. You might have a problem, but technology is going to help you solve this problem faster, better, and in a cheaper way. So having said that, whenever you are thinking of providing a solution to the customer, you always think about short term and long term. In the short term, you are focusing more on providing value to the customer. And at the same time, you are constantly thinking about how do I ensure this solution is going to scale and also be reliable over a period of time. So during the entire product development, you are constantly thinking on these two aspects. And today's agile methodologies, or you take any technology that's a framework that is there, it enables you to think in these two lines and ensure that you are delivering on these two aspects constantly. You cannot lift your pedal on from any of these two. Otherwise, what will happen? Your competition will definitely steamroll and march ahead. So yes, as a technologist, I have to be constantly learning, thinking about what's coming and see how I can use that technology which is coming up to solve the existing problems, and also, as Sunil mentioned, right, foreseeing the future problems and how this technology can be used to solve the future problems.
So adding to Mukund over here, so whenever a product is initially launched, correct, especially I can talk based on my experience where we develop enterprise products. Like the first product versions, whatever we focus on ensuring that we are solving the problem and we are solving the needs and ensuring that product is very much relevant to the market or the industry at that time. And once we see that product market fit, the next we would be using is innovations in the technology where we would optimize the OPEX and the CAPEX cost, like the components cost, so that we can increase our margins and we could scale it better. So if you see, this is to answer your question, there is a continuous feedback, like what is working for them and what we need to innovate, fix the problems. While we are doing that, we will also be leveraging the latest technologies to ensure that this product, what we are offering, the margins are better for the enterprises, so that when the volumes increase, these margins, even a dollar change makes a big impact in the bottom line. So the focus would then move towards the margin. So there is no way that we could discount the technology.
Yeah, I agree, Sunil. Like customer discovery, like staying close to the customer, like evolves the needs, and also the keeping track on emerging technologies like AIs and block chain agility and ecosystem thinking, like aligning with trends, but stay true to the core values, right? So yeah, the technology makes very big impact in the evolution of the product.
I agree. So I think the technology is rapidly moving faster than us. So next question comes under, so do you guys see any technology or the product which has been accommodated in the history? I mean, it was developed before the time comes. So in your 20 years of experience, all of you, have you seen any products and like that? And if it fails or if it wins, what is your experience? And How is it?
So, yes, as I mentioned earlier, whatever technology or the problem that we are trying to solve, we need to see whether this is like relevant to the current markets, or is it ahead in the, or is the market not still yet ready for it? To give a simple example, like if there was no mobile phones, I would see there was no need for any banking applications or anything, correct? Like there the applications and everything would have not made much sense unless the ecosystem and the infrastructure exists where everybody could leverage it, correct? So we have seen even I think Apple is not the first one to come up with touch technology. The touch screen has been invented far earlier, but then there was no ecosystem or a platform to actually absorb this technology at that point. So obviously that this is very much relevant. That's where we need to see how ready is the market to absorb it, and how willing are the customers to pay for it, and how big is a problem and how urgent is this problem for them now.
Sunil,
Got
like
it.
as Steve Jobs famously said that people don't know what they want until you show them what they want.
I think that quote became very famous after Steve Jobs,
Yeah,
and people recognizing the products, use of products, and how they can use. Yeah, go on, Shashank.
yeah. The one thing what earlier I can mention distribution matters as much as product. Like I believe like great products sell. s- Earlier, I believed that great product sell itself, but even the faster product fails without a go to market strategy. Yeah,
So the customer should the the product should reachable to the customer. It's like a Coca-Cola fantasy. I mean, Coca-Cola strategy.
yeah. So
So that's what I think what Shashank was also mentioning is there are few startups like which have great ideas, and this is like an unavoidable solution. Like this is the need of the day. But actually for it to scale or it to have that distribution channels or partner so that it reaches to every customer out there, that's where most of these startups try to get acquired by some of these bigger giants or the bigger MNCs so that they could leverage their customer base, their distribution channels, their partner ecosystems to actually sell better and reach to the audiences.
Yeah, I mean, in my perspective, what I feel is, see, there are a lot of products which were available earlier, right? As Sunil and Shashak mentioned, the Blackberries were there, the smartphones were there also earlier. But if it is not solving a real pain point of the customer, then it fails, right? So you cannot say that technology is the only one that will ensure success of a product. There are a lot of aspects which makes a product successful. And as we started this podcast, where Sunil mentioned customer centricity, right? So as an engineer, I used to always think we need to, the moment you see a problem, you need to solve it. But in the last 1.5 years of my journey, what I am understanding is, first, there is lot of due diligence you need to do. Really see if the problem is worth solving. Is the problem that I think needs to be solved, is it big enough? In the sense, is it faced by so many other people that yes, we need to invest our valuable time, energy, money, technology to solve it, right? So there are a lot of aspects that makes a product successful. And yes, if the technology is ahead of its time, doesn't help, because if it's not solving the current pain points of the majority of the users, its adoption will fail. But doesn't mean that it's a bad product. It is just that its time has not yet come.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have seen many few products like that. Even the products which were built during Tesla's time. So few of his products didn't came into the market or to the world. So I agree with you. So Sunil, as you said, big companies used to acquire small companies to expand their distribution reach or get to the customers more closely or cross sell maybe. Does this kill innovation or fuel the innovation?
So I would say the big companies, as the companies grow big, correct? there'll be a lot of processes, and there is a lot of, as the teams expand, the cross collaboration, everything, challenges come up. The good part with, and this actually hampers some of the innovations also. So where startups actually add value is they have a very focused problem to solve for, and their focus is all around it. And the teams are small, they are not blocked with the processes, or they don't have any backlog to carry along. So the big companies, sometimes they have to ensure their current customer base is all addressed, so they have a baggage to carry along. The innovation slows down, or it is a bit hampered. Where these startups, because they are lean, they have a particular problem to solve, and they are very focused around it, they can innovate faster and come up. But if they have to scale further beyond a particular point, that's when these, again, processes and everything come into picture, and the reach and the scale to scale beyond a particular point. That's where these companies, so there is a pros and cons around it. So now what companies are actually going, if you see the message from the Cisco leaders as of today, they want every business unit to function as a startup. They want their growth, every business unit to work as a startup. Okay. Exactly. So they want to get that startup mindset, not to get restricted by any of these big processes or big companies which would slow down them. So the leaders are identifying them. They are trying to enable these teams to run faster like startups.
I agree with
And we also
Sunil.
are seeing a lot of seed funding by these big startups, to the startups by the MNCs, where they see there is a need for innovation. So they do seed funding, and they give them or support them with all the technology and the knowledge based work, and they enable them. And once they are good, come to a mature stage, they get acquired. There are many companies, seed funded startups also by these MNCs. So there are different models as of today. But yeah, both of them have, the startups have their own strengths, the big companies have their own strengths, and over a period of time, both are needed.
Adding to Sunil's statement, startup do have some constraints regarding the investment point of view. When the large company acquires, they have opportunity to have utilization of the resource in a larger way, and they can move for a more innovation point of view. And when you talk about in a company, they have started, like as Sunil mentioned, each project will have acting like a startup, right? So yes, taking the ownership from the end-to-end responsibility, and giving the full free hands to think innovative. Yeah, nowadays the all IT companies are following the same strategy.
Yeah, my take on that is, maybe I am not wearing an engineering hat now, maybe a little bit of a product management hat. I think it's time to market, right? So when my business leader comes and tells me, yes, I need to get to market, we are counting on revenue, or we're going to recognize revenue 1 year down the line for this, right? So as a technologist, I have to see, does it make sense to build, or if there is someone who is already building it, why don't I collaborate, or at least, closely work and not reinvent the wheel? If someone is already doing that, why can't I just, leverage, build on top of it and then deliver value? So at the end of the day, it's all about how quickly can I deliver value to the customer once I have validated the customer problem, right? And today, I think we are living in our best times. The world is so connected. And in last 20 years, I think we have made tremendous progress in terms of making technology available to, anyone who wants to solve a problem. If you have found a problem that is worth solving, I think if you have a will, you will definitely find that someone is doing the kind of technology you need to solve the problem, and you don't need to build from scratch. That's what I have been seeing. I mean, whenever I think of a problem and I try to start building from scratch, I realize someone is already doing it. Maybe I just need to either customize or tweak it to suit my customer requirements. But I think 70 to 80% of my technology needs would be met by someone who has already developed or is developing it.
So adding to
Yeah,
Mukund over here, so what companies are also now working towards is outcome based. So now they go to the customers, they don't sell a particular hardware or a software or anything. So what they are trying to sell now is the outcome, like how this would be enabling them to become more effective, to increase their performance, to reduce their costs, or how is it going to enable them to compete in the environment where they are, correct? And what this translates to back in the company is they are providing an end-to-end solution, and that's where leveraging the innovations of one business unit by the other and building it as a solution rather than building siloed projects, correct? So that's where we are seeing more and more synergies between these solutions, end-to-end solutions coming up, where the leadership is facilitating them to break all those silos and to collaborate well in such a way that they could leverage, they don't reinvent the wheel, and they could leverage the power of each of these systems and provide a solution which translates to outcomes for the customers. And most of the companies I see now are going towards that, and that's where you would see more and more subscription models coming up. Even there's SaaS offerings or subscriptions, everything are all based out of the outcomes. Gone are the days where they are selling like a particular hardware or a particular software and saying that now you figure out how do you want to integrate or how do you want to solve your problem.
yeah, Sunil. I think the SaaS becomes a boom now. So all investors or the HNIs or companies are building starts building SaaS products so that to cater to many customers as they can and get as much revenue as. And so since we are talking about products and how we have been building from the scratch. So what is the one misconception people have when they are building products? Because I have seen many college dropouts from IIMs, IITs. So they have been building products, but after a particular time, so they just drop whatever they are building up, and again they are joining the jobs. So is it that much difficult to build the product and get it in the market? I know funding is the main thing here. So so what is the reason? Any
So,
experience from you guys?
Raj, you correctly hit on the nail over here. So, the major problem why most of these startups fail, or some of these aspirants or the dropouts who brilliant minds fail, is because they start to build products based on an idea. So, they have an idea and they start investing on their idea, and everybody fantasizes on their ideas. So, what they miss is the problem. What problem are they trying to solve? What to whom they are solving this problem for? They try to miss that, or they don't validate this. As Mukund said, correct? Like validating this. Shashank reiterated that, correct? Unless you have that continuous feedback loop from the customer whom you want to serve to, if that is not there and you come up with a fancy idea and you are fantasizing around this idea where nobody wants it at this point, or it is not solving any customer needs at this point or customer pain points, so that's where the startups fail.
I think the people fantasize on the idea based on some problem they have find out, and maybe they're not targeting the right customer group, but they're catering the idea, building the idea. I mean, problem for part group A, and they are catering to group B, and it is a mismatch for the product because people don't want to buy it.
As I stressed you, correct? Like that minimum viable segment. First, you need to
Yes.
identify minimum viable segment. Whom are you targeting to? If that is not being done, and that's where initial discovery and that interviews what Shashank initially told, correct? Like we need to have those primary research, secondary research done to identify that. Unless that is identified, correct? That's where most of the things start to collapse, and unfortunately after spending a lot of resources and energies they realize that very tough way.
Actually, they don't see whether the product market fit is there or not, their product. So just the fantasy fake, they will invest and they'll end up making losing money. And the other part is also like they don't have enough funding issue, and their family responsibility, how do they feed their family. So those kind of things, all the things are matters here. and they end up searching for the again joining the corporate jobs.
See, my take on that is, when you are very young or maybe a college dropout, right? You have that energy, and sometimes you have that conviction in your idea that yes, this will work. And because of that conviction, you don't have that open mind to see what's actually happening, and you want to go faster, correct? Bring that out. And some people have the thought process which we earlier touched upon, right? Big companies buying out the smaller ones. So that thought process is also there. If I crack this, if I develop this, I'm pretty sure someone will buy me. Okay. Now that hypothesis, if it fails, that's where, when they realize either the solution that they are developing is not catering or not good enough. Okay, it's not well engineered, or it's not going to strike a chord with the big companies. That's when some of these startups fail. So for me, we need to have an open mind along with the technology edge. At the same time, in today's times, it is about closely working with the customers. Okay, those days are gone when I believed in an idea, I invested, I spent my day and night and trying to make it work and then bring it to the market. Those days are gone.
Yeah. Yes.
The times are changing so fast, the customer needs are changing so fast. You might have discovered a customer need maybe 6 or 9 months back, but during the process of developing the solution, the customer needs itself has changed, or it's already solved by some other way. And by the time you bring it to the market, you realize it's all a futile attempt. So for me, working closely with the customers and trying to see whether the technology makes sense or not, right? So these are the two key things would definitely help the startups to solve this problem of suddenly quitting or going astray from their path.
And
Right.
adding Mukund over here, the companies or the startups which actually succeed are the ones who are able to go sense the market, get the customer feedback, and able to pivot. So they fail early, they start realizing that whatever they thought initially is not the actual solution, and they pivot towards and they fine tune their solution. That's when they actually succeed. Most of these companies, if you see, you list any of the big companies, the initial thoughts or the initial products may not be addressing the complete real problem over there. But what they did was they went to the customers, they got the feedback, and they pivoted towards the ideas, and then they succeeded. So that loop back and pivoting and failing early, realizing that is all that makes a success formula.
Yeah, Sunil. I think all three of you make sense in for the startup founders or who are in the initial stages of building the first product and getting to the 0 to 1. That step they have to take is be patient and keep on thinking about from the customer point of view and adapt the new technologies so that they can cater to the customer 100% of their will. I think yeah, we have made some good conversation, and I think the points helps the most of the entrepreneurs who are budding entrepreneurs in the first stage of a life. And is if you could give one piece of advice or any framework which you guys used to follow in your companies to build the successful products, what can you give anything on that?
So I would say don't get stuck with the frameworks. There are multiple frameworks out there. Like we have VPC framework, we have value proposition frameworks, journey maps, design thinking. There are multiple frameworks, but frameworks are only a guiding way of doing things. As long as you have a clear understanding of the customer segment, the problem, and the customer segment, validating your ideas, pivoting and correcting your paths regularly, and ensuring that you know how to scale and where to expand and what channels to reach for. As long as you have all of this figured out, you would be doing good. I'm not a very big fan of a particular framework, but yes, there are multiple frameworks that we could use, and uh, some of these frameworks have been gradually, what do you say, adopted for some of the technologies or some of the verticals accordingly.
When we look into the framework, like we can initial like people who are from the start, they have some framework to start. So for that, I could like BMC would be the right model to start, so that they have a clear idea like how do they segregate their and then going forward, like we have an RISE framework, business marketing frameworks, we have move framework. So we have, as you mentioned, we have many frameworks. The only thing is like framework. As I mentioned, like BMC would be the best model to start with the business, any startup, so that the flow you will understand like how the business model will flow, and then we have lot many frameworks in terms of marketing or product. So based on your requirement, you choose your right framework and just move it, because it is like an open ground. You don't know where to run. If you have some path, then you can move in that path. So you will be in a good direction. This is what my understanding.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I think, I mean, for a startup, right, when you are starting up, those three things for value proposition, okay, desirability, viability, and feasibility. For me, these are the three key things. Eventually, if you focus on these three things first, eventually everything else will fall in place. But first, validating these three assumptions using these three key aspects, right? Yeah, because the frameworks are, as Sunil mentioned, just a means. There has to be a willingness to solve a problem. Give the frameworks tools, there are a bunch of them available online. You can find and you can use them. Having that thought process of customer centricity and using these three aspects of value proposition always at the back of your mind will definitely be a good starting.
Yes, I think the value proposition is the one of the main framework because I believe we have to continuously evolve our value proposition at each and every stage. And I think after getting feedbacks for the customers and getting the new technology, adapting to the technology and including in our product, so all these things come. Value proposition is the main and very important in business building and product building also. So yes, and finally, what's one book you would recommend for aspiring product builders?
I would recommend Value Proposition Design by Alex Osterwald. It's a very good book.
Mhm.
I would recommend that primarily because as an engineer, I'll always focused on problem solving. But when I started thinking in terms of value, like if you see the entire journey, it's all about initially creating the value, communicating the value, helping customers realize the value. And so it's all about journey about the value. If you see the entire productizing process, it's all about value. So for me, this book, Value Proposition Design by Alex Osterwald, would definitely be. I would recommend anyone who wants to start on their entrepreneur journey.
Sure.
And yeah, I would for startup entrepreneurs, I would recommend the Lean Startup from the Eric Ries. Like you will come to know the more successful entrepreneurial business and throughout the journey of the startup. So I recommend the Lean Startup.
Sure,
So,
Shashank. I think I have to look into it once.
Yeah, yeah.
so there is another one which under the similar lines, correct? The lean product playbook. So this is how to innovate with minimum viable products and rapid customer feedback, whatever we were talking today, correct? So by Dan Paulson. So this is one good book for people who want to understand the product, and this is like a playbook for them to start off with.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I think about the insightful getting more information from you and from your experiences. I think our viewers also can gain more knowledge from this. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Thanks,
much.
Rajesh.
Raj, for hosting this. You've been such a good host.
Thank you, Mukund.
Thank
Pleasure
It
is
was an
mine.
interesting discussion over here, and I also got some insights which I can carry back from here. So really thanks, Raj, for and appreciate your efforts for hosting all this and making this great.
Yeah, thank
Thank you,
you.
Sunil.
And
Thank you.
we come from engineering background, and we learn so many product information. This is a right platform for us to integrate between product and
Yeah,
engineering
Shashank.
and go forward. Thank you.
I
Thank you
came
very much.
from, yeah, thank you. I came from finance background, It's very difficult for me at start. When I try learning products, it was very difficult for me on the technology side. But when I start, train my brain on critical thinking and product from scratch. So I just got to understand how products will build and how they can scale up. I think every product leader has to build their own product mindset from the initial stages so that they can succeed in the future. Yes, thank you guys. I thank PLG to allow us to host the event.